longer than 60 seconds. Bye-bye. Cute kids. In this video, I'm going to give you tips and tricks to completing your first ab wheel rollout. And before we get started, you already know that this is going to be a great informational video, or at least I hope. So why don't you go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe if you're feeling gracious, and let's get into it. Now for starters, the ab wheel rollout is one of the more difficult core exercises that you can do, and it requires a lot of core strength, which is not just your abs, but it's also your diaphragm, your pelvic floor, your erector muscles, and everything that basically protects the spine. My first tip is to be able to do at least a 60-second plank. And this isn't always going to guarantee that you are going to be able to get an ab wheel rollout directly after this, but completing a 60-second plank with good form and not letting your spine sag is going to be the #1 step. So if you're not there yet, work your way up to getting a 60-second plank. Another one would be incorporating dead bugs. Lay on your back, you are pelvic tilting your pelvis, so you are keeping a little bit more of a flat back. You are extending opposite leg and opposite arm and reaching those out as far as you can while keeping good form, trying to keep your lower back as flat on the floor as possible. Now a little bit of curve is okay because there's natural curve in our lower spine, but you want to try to keep your abs engaged rather than cranking on your lower back and forcing that pressure into your spine rather than into your whole core muscles. The next one would be a bird dog. So this is similar to the dead bug, but you're flipped on your hands and knees, so a quadruped position. And from there, you're going to do the same thing. You're going to reach your opposite arm and your opposite leg out. Think of yourself as a table. You have a glass of water on top of it. And with that water, you're trying not to spill it. But just keep that as a cue in mind. Once you have mastered those two and once you have got those down pat, then you can move on to what I like to call exercise ball rollouts. And these will get you extending a little bit more, just like an ab wheel rollout would. So what you want to do is you want to get an exercise ball that's appropriate height. They come in all shapes and sizes, but you want to get an exercise ball that's the right height for you. You're going to place your elbows on the ball and you're going to assume a plank position. From there, you want to guide your arms forward. The idea behind these is to not cave in on your spine. It's to keep a nice neutral spine position, keeping the ribs down and the abs engaged the entire time. Breathing in deep, setting those core muscles and holding a steady position. You're going to extend your arms forward, which is naturally wanting to pull your ribs up. And you are trying to fight that, and you're trying to keep your ribs down while keeping your abs engaged. And you want to do those, and if you can get one, if you can get two, and then just test your limits on how far out you can go. Following your mastery of the exercise ball rollouts, the next step would be testing your range on the ab wheel. So with the ab wheel, you want to get on your hands and knees, place your hands on each side of the wheel, and from there you just want to test your range. And going back to the common theme of this, you want to make sure that your abs are engaged the entire time. You don't want your lower back to take the brunt of this exercise, because when you let your lower back take the brunt of this exercise, you are taking away from the muscles that we are really trying to connect to, and that's the abs, the spinal erectors, the diaphragm. It's everything that protects that spine, because what we're doing with the core exercises is trying to keep our natural position while we're in extension. And that's going to force you to really breathe in deep and hold that position. So when you're on this ab wheel rollout, you're going to do partial rollouts. You're just going to test your limit, and you're just going to go down, and once you start to feel your back cave is when you come back up. And then you progress this way to where you maybe test a little bit further, even if you're aiming for another extra centimeter. But just test your limits and see how far you can go. And then once you have gotten that down, then you can start practicing the full ab wheel rollout. And with that, it comes just like the partial wheel rollout. Get on your hands and knees, grip the handles, and from there, you want to extend your arms forward or let the wheel take you forward, keeping the neutral spine, breathing in deep, bracing that core, and extending all the way down. You can go as low as you want. If you want to try to get all the way to like nose to floor, go ahead, feel free. And if you feel that you're catching in the back of your armpit, and that's the reason that you can't extend further, what you can do is use a foam roller and loosen up those lat muscles, and then also stretch those lat muscles so you have a little bit more of range of motion there. And then you can actually focus on your core muscles rather than feeling the back of your armpits and your lats catching you and keeping you from getting any further. I hope this video is helpful. If you haven't already, like the video, subscribe if you're feeling gracious, and we will see you in the next video.